Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday weather outlook for the southern region brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, the two main components of what we need to be talking about today are illustrated on this map, which is showing us a view of the jet stream level winds midday today. And the two pieces that I want to be speaking about are, one, this trough that you see right in through here. As it comes pulling through the flow, it is going to be increasing the severe weather threat across the south central United States and then over toward the southeast by the time we get into Thursday. So we have a multi-day severe weather event yet again this week, and so there's kind of no slowing this down here in the near term. And the second piece I want to talk about is actually what you see sitting and spinning right over here, because if you notice, the flow in the jet stream here tucked away south of the Aleutian Islands features that cutoff low with, to the north of it, this cutoff high. So there's a bit of a block in the flow of the pattern, and what that is going to do is that's going to keep this faster piece of the polar jet stream, which comes down here like this, away from advancing forward more quickly. So that means it's going to continue to push up into a ridge here over the west and allow for troughing features to keep coming down here over into the eastern half of the United States. Supported on still relatively strong flow out of the subtropics, as we can see here, this flow pattern seems to be one that we're going to be stuck in for a little while. So what that's going to do is that's going to kind of divide the United States right here with places that are going to be cooler than normal on this side of things and much above average in temperature on that side of things. And so for the southern region, while we are going to get the benefits of being south and just being able to hang on to some warmer conditions, it's going to be much warmer, I think, as you go from Texas west than it is going to be from Texas east compared to normal. So that's it. These are the two main components. Let's dig right into that severe weather threat first, because in the day today, on Tuesday, we're going to be watching parts of Oklahoma and Texas as the wave really kind of moves in out of California and starts to cut here through the Four Corners states. So our big concern here, we're going to look at some of the details on the timing of these storms in just a few moments, but this is where the threat is going to be today. As you could imagine, as we move into the day tomorrow on Wednesday, this threat translates a bit to the east. We've expanded in the latest updates the size of the slight risk area, and so now it extends into parts of Oklahoma, bigger chunk of Arkansas, and over into Mississippi. So we're going to watch the storms evolve and move across this region. And as we updated yesterday, we anticipated the Storm Prediction Center highlighting this region on Thursday. I was not actually anticipating it being so expansive, so the models here really have kind of kicked up the overall destabilization of the atmosphere farther to the north. And it's the same setup. We're going to have on each day here, I'll just draw in general here, a surface wind that's coming some direction out of the south or south-southwest. A much faster wind running over the top of it, kind of coming out of the southwest. This is our low-level jet. And the 500 millibar winds are cutting across in this direction. So this would be the wind shear environment that you would need in order to produce, again, rotating thunderstorms. We're going to see all types of convection out of this. What I mean by that is you're going to see lines, you're going to see broken lines, and you're also going to see discrete supercells out of this. And so we have, once again, another 3-day round of severe weather beginning on today and cutting through Wednesday and into Thursday this week, stretching from Texas all the way over to the Carolinas and down to Florida. So that's the first part of this. Once we get past that, check out what the flow is going to be by the time we get into day 10. It all starts here with that stalled trough that's sitting out here south of the Aleutian Islands. You see it continues to feed a larger ridge over the west and a trough here sitting over the eastern half of the United States. And it's the stuckness, the permanence of that trough kind of sitting and spinning there that's going to allow this particular pattern to stay in place. And so with that being said, we're going to have still flow coming out of the subtropical branch of the jet stream underneath this, to the south of it, I should say. And overall, that's going to keep, this area, from Texas here up the East Coast on the active side of things. So that's how we get to with day 10, our day 10 patterns. So the second part of this story, like I said, is going to be about temperatures. And just to show you, as you start the month of May, like I said, we're going to be split kind of north-south here in terms of our temperature anomalies. Now, this is not cold. It's just not, the warmth we've been seeing so far. So we're slowing down that what had been a quite rapid accumulation of heat units, now seeing an average of 2 to 3 degrees cooler than normal for a 5-day time period here. So that's it. That seems to be the upper level pattern that's driving things. Let's now work our way into some of the details. When I think about this precipitation pattern, what I'm trying to see is, do we ever increase our precipitation amounts along the Gulf Coast? And what about the southern tip or the southern half of Florida, where things have at times been quite dry. When we've had relief from the drought in Florida, it's been from some big rainfall events. But just to the north of that, we have seen extremely wet conditions across much of the rest of like our cotton belt, where we plant a lot of peanuts, corn, and soybeans here in the southern part of the Mississippi River Valley and the Delta. And it's interesting to see that over the last 30 days, this area, which had been so wet early in the year, has shown up on the drier side of things. So we need to keep just this general picture in mind as a region that we're trying to see where we're going to be changing the precipitation patterns, because in terms of soil moisture content, we know that we've been extremely wet in the northern halves of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and on the southern halves and on the Gulf Coast of all those states, it's been exceptionally dry, and we're running deficits in soil moisture. So we want to keep this perspective overall as we look through this forecast. So let me just play it out for you. I want you to see the timing of the precipitation coming forward here. So this is just an animation I made this morning, or pulled off the web this morning, that shows from the ECMWF how we're accumulating precipitation over this week. And if you remember last week, we were talking specifically about this band of heavy precipitation possibly being further to the south, and it turns out that it has shifted to the north with the flow of that wave. So we just kind of step you back. You can see when the heavy rain comes in. So you see that through mid-morning this morning, not this morning, this is getting through mid-morning tomorrow morning on Wednesday. It's going to be Texas and Oklahoma throughout the day tomorrow that we're watching for the heaviest rainfall. Potentials here from some of these storms is well over an inch of rain. Then as we get into the overnight hours on Wednesday, into early morning Thursday, that threat of severe weather and strong thunderstorms moves through Arkansas, Louisiana, and over into Mississippi. And then as we press our way through mid-morning Thursday, that severe weather threat then transitions over toward Alabama, heavier rain in parts of Tennessee, and then as we get into the evening hours on Thursday, that's when we're starting to watch out for the strong storms to push through parts of Georgia and South Carolina, and that's where that severe weather threat increased there. Notice this, though, as we work our way toward the end of the week, this is now Friday morning, getting into Friday afternoon and evening, we do see increased chances of precipitation for parts of Florida, which have really needed it in some places here. So we're going to watch this one quite carefully as it moves through. So high resolution NAM model first, we're looking at simulated radar reflectivity. So if you're going to keep an eye on the radar as these systems are pulling through, this is what we were going to see all the way out to about 1 o'clock on Thursday. So we noticed that throughout the day today, it looks like storms are going to fire first in the panhandles out ahead of the lead wave, which is sitting and spinning here over parts of the Four Corners states. So this is Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central Time, working through the evening hours. So what we're concerned about at this point is storms right in this vicinity, really cutting through parts of central Oklahoma. The main convective mode we're seeing initially is going to be squall lines. So rather than discrete supercells, while they could occur, I think that the main convective mode might be more over toward linear line type thunderstorms. But it's still, all types could come through this as we work our way into the very early morning hours on Wednesday. So maybe a night where we don't get a lot of sleep due to a lot of lightning. In fact, I was looking at the flash density for these. It was very high coming from the European model. So as we work our way into early morning on Wednesday, the storm's still pushing through eastern Oklahoma, now setting up through parts of southern Kansas, getting over to southern Missouri, and then Arkansas by midday Wednesday. So you see right here, this is Wednesday 3 o'clock. Working our way through the evening hours, broad scattered convection into this area ahead of this wave, and it is potentially going to be producing a broad sector of strong storms. So that's why we saw the precipitation amounts really increasing here over Arkansas through the evening hours on Wednesday. As we press into the overnight hours, the storm's main boundary runs right through the lower Mississippi River Valley by about 2 a.m. according to the latest NAM model run, and then it's going to be here on Thursday that we're going to watch the storms then race through parts of Alabama over toward Georgia and South Carolina. And that just gets us through 1 p.m. on Thursday. So to see the rest of this, let's go over to the European model, which runs out 10 days. And we'll just stop right there where we've seen through so far. So here's Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon and evening. Now working our way into the overnight hours. So that's going to be the wettest conditions for Alabama over toward the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida. It's going to be from Thursday evening or afternoon through Friday midday. Okay, So that system pulls on out of there. What's interesting is another system pulled in the upper level flow that came into the northwest and is now setting up over Illinois by the time we get into overnight hours on Friday into Saturday morning. And a major difference in the model runs between yesterday and today is the depth of this low pressure system. So to the south of it, we could once again see some stronger showers and thunderstorms. Where will they be? Well, Friday night could be back over in parts of Oklahoma and Arkansas. And then as we work our way into Saturday morning, we could get some rain that stretches from Memphis south. And then as we get into Saturday afternoon and evening, we need to watch this area again for the chance for some stronger thunderstorms, because this low pressure cell is quite low at this point. So let's let that system get through. And then as we work our way into early next week, we do get some higher atmospheric pressure to start next week, keeping things on the drier side of things. But by Tuesday, another frontal boundary comes crashing through. And what's happening is, at this point, we're setting up this pattern. So we're going to see stuff kind of coming through like this. So if I just play the rest of this animation, what you're going to notice is storm systems come running on that line, just like you see there. And so that's what ends up happening when the jet stream builds into that larger ridge out to the west. So what about week 2? Well, I'll be honest with you, I've not been overall impressed as we've worked our way with spring with the week 2 forecast. I think they've got an idea on the pattern, but they really haven't been, nailing it in terms of total precipitation anomalies. But again, with the flow pattern doing something like this and that subtropical branch coming through, I just continue to see the chances for above average precipitation inside that oval I just drew there. All right. From there, let's go on to our temperature patterns. We're going to watch this next animation here. This is maximum temperatures with the color coding being anomalies. So today we're going to get some 90s down here in south central Texas, but a lot of upper 70s, lower 80s through the rest of our southern region. As we play it forward, let's see how things continue on Wednesday. See, remember we were talking about the cooler bias. A lot of upper 60s, lower 70s here on the northern edge of our southern region, then warming as you get farther to the south. Working our way into Thursday, much of the same story. And then into Friday, really split right here on Friday, south of that warmer than average, north of that line cooler. But as we talked about, look, Saturday into Sunday and Monday, this is where that pattern becomes fully established, where we have cooler weather compared to average. It's not cold, but compared to average here, with the west really beginning to warm up. And you can see that if we just step out here and show you the day 0 through day 5. So this is the pattern we just discussed, and this is now day 6 through 10. So this is when the jet stream is really doing what we talked about, which is coming in like this and then cutting around like that. And this really shows up all the way out to day 15, which gets us through the first week of May. So we're going to be seeing over here in this part of the eastern side of our southern region the chances for some cooler than average weather. Not cold, but just cooler than average. To finish this up, I'm looking for support, and we're going to talk about this tomorrow. The Mad-Julian oscillation, remember how we talked a week ago in the long range, we thought, hey, if it could just jump on out over here like this, boy, that would really get things going. And instead, it has stalled. It's stalling not because of the MJO's own doing. It's actually some other larger dynamical features that I'm going to talk about in tomorrow's long-range update. But it's keeping over this area positive velocity potentials, which basically is suppressing a lot of the convection. And that is extending up here into the United States, helping to give us that flow pattern that we see really setting up here. So the tropics are aiding in the subtropical flow and in the polar flow here. So very interesting setup. We'll discuss more tomorrow. And we'll also be discussing this. This is your new May outlook from the European model. And it is featuring above average temperatures here and a lot closer to normal across much of the eastern half of the United States. But one thing the models have not been able to let go of is this wetter bias in this area. And we've got some good evidence for that. We're going to talk about it in tomorrow's long-range update. But until then, I hope you all have a good rest of your day. Keep an eye out on that severe weather threat moving from Texas today over to the lower Mississippi River Valley tomorrow, and then by Thursday over in the southeast, okay? We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Have a good one. Thank you.